If Chad really went through with marrying me, she would refuse to eat any food and would starve herself to death. Chad found her threats absurd and simply laughed it off. He told her that she could do whatever she wanted and even made a sarcastic comment that she might look better by losing a few pounds. This only fueled her anger further, and she became even more enraged. She then threatened to cut Chad off completely if he went ahead with the marriage, but he wasn't swayed by her ultimatum. Failing in her attempts to manipulate her son, Elizabeth then tried to reach out to me directly, attempting to persuade me that I was making a grave mistake by marrying her son without her blessings. Her messages were filled with hate, and she even went so far as to say that she hoped my soul would burn in hell for what I had done to her. It was a deeply hurtful, intense response, and I was sick and tired of her always trying to ruin our happy moment. As a result, when it came time to invite people to our wedding, we did not send Elizabeth an invitation. Chad's father, who had been invited, called us inquiring about why his wife had not received any invitation and how apparently she had been crying for hours in her room at this insult. Chad's father insisted that Chad and I come to his house for a sit-down with Elizabeth to resolve our issues and hopefully move past the whole drama. He made it clear that his family would be very upset if his mother was not included in our wedding. Reluctantly, Chad agreed, hoping that a face-to-face conversation might smooth things over. The next day we went to meet with Elizabeth, but the encounter was far from constructive. The following day we went to meet with his mother, Elizabeth, and from the moment we arrived, it was obvious she wasn't interested in having a constructive discussion. Instead, she acted as though she were the victim in the situation. Throughout the conversation, Elizabeth stared angrily at me, her eyes filled with contempt, and it was clear she blamed me for everything that had gone wrong. Chad's father, trying his best to mediate, asked Elizabeth to apologize to us for everything she had done to cause this unnecessary tension and conflict. However, this suggestion only made her more furious. She exploded in anger, yelling at both Chad and his father and accusing them of being so foolish for not recognizing the kind of woman I was. She insisted that she only wanted what was best for her son and I was clearly not good enough for him. I could feel my frustration building up, so in an effort to get some clarity, I directly asked her why she had never approved of me from the beginning and what kind of woman she believed would be suitable for Chad. She expressed how she didn't like the fact that I was a working woman and that I earned as much as Chad. She went on to claim that women like me, women who are financially independent, would have no problem cheating on or leaving their husbands if things went south. Hence, I was not the right fit for the family. She argued that Chad needed a more homely woman who could take on the traditional role of a wife. Elizabeth also brought up how in her culture women were expected to do everything at home and only the man was supposed to work. She accused me of being selfish because according to her, I made Chad do half of the work at home, which she believed was unacceptable. It was clear that her issue wasn't just with me but with a bigger idea of gender roles in our relationship. Thankfully, Chad stood up for me and he told her that it was his choice to be a good partner by sharing household duties and he liked that we both earned well. He reminded his mom how years ago when his dad lost his job, they were almost homeless and had to ask for financial help from their grandparents. He pointed out how in our case, if either of us lost our job, we both knew the other could step in and take care of things without needing to borrow money from anyone. I felt so proud that Chad genuinely appreciated and understood me for who I am. Chad's father agreed with him and urged Elizabeth to see past her cultural beliefs and learn to accept me for who I am, otherwise they might end up losing out on their son forever. In the end, after much tension and debate, Elizabeth reluctantly agreed to step back and keep her opinions to herself regarding our relationship. While she didn't fully accept me, I wasn't particularly bothered by that. What mattered most to me was that she would stay out of our business and refrain from making any further comments, which is what I had always wanted. With that agreement in place, we moved forward with inviting her to the wedding. Throughout the planning of the wedding, Elizabeth did try to make things a bit difficult, but it was still manageable. However, one of the major issues arose when she insisted on wearing a very light blue dress to the ceremony, a color so pale it could almost be mistaken for white. Given the importance of the bride being the only one in white, this felt like a passive-aggressive move. I let my husband handle the situation, and he very firmly made it clear to her that if she showed up in that dress, we wouldn't hesitate to ask her to leave. Ultimately, she backed down from the light blue dress idea. However, on the wedding day, she showed up in a black dress as if she were attending a funeral instead of her son's wedding. It was a clear statement, as if she wanted to signal her disapproval of the union. I could have let it upset me, but I chose to ignore it. I didn't want her attention-seeking antics to overshadow what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. So I decided to let it go, focusing on the joy of marrying Chad rather than allowing Elizabeth's behavior to steal the spotlight. As I was preparing to walk down the aisle and waiting for my dad to join me so that we could walk down the aisle together, Elizabeth approached me unexpectedly. I was already feeling a whirlwind of emotion, so when she asked to speak to me, I wasn't sure what to expect. She began by telling me that she had been speaking with some of her family members and had learned that my dad was going to be the one walking me down the aisle. I nodded, and without hesitation, she went on to express that she didn't think it was the right thing for him to do. Confused and taken aback, I asked her why she felt that way. In response, she answered that because of my dad's condition, it would not be a good look for the family and that people might talk.